Hi, everybody. Monica, Empower Your Health, Empower Your Life TV. Welcome. At Empower TV, we connect you with health and wellness resources so that you can empower yourself and create the life you want and the life you love. So, welcome. And today we have a very special guest, and I'm really excited about this conversation because I started to be curious about all that stuff like blockchain, NFTs, Bitcoin, like what the heck is that? So I found a great resource to help me out, kind of start understanding, me being a complete novice and not knowing much of anything about it. And so I invited Carlee Lloyd, aka your social media godmother, I think. And I invited her to tell us a little bit more about what NFTs are, what blockchain is, how do social media work with that. So like I said, I got connected with Carlee because I was looking for information about all this stuff, and she has an awesome podcast. And like for beginners, it's really, really super accessible and very informative. And I think the idea is that she takes us through the journey of learning as she's learning. So welcome, Carlee, and so happy and glad to have you here. Thanks for your time. So yeah, well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into that space and what your interests are.
Yeah, so my role, I really started being a social media manager and working at a podcast network. So I worked there for a while, and then through that, I met someone named Rami. And Rami was starting a project called BitNifty, where he was helping people in countries where cryptocurrency was banned to make NFTs, because NFTs allow people to have perpetual royalties. So artists in countries where cryptocurrency was banned could still make NFTs and still receive money, when those pieces of artwork sold. And I thought that project was really cool, so I started talking to him. And over the last year or so, I've gotten really involved in his new project called the Dream Conduit, and they made me the community manager for that project. And as soon as I learned about blockchain technology and NFTs and what it could do for creatives, for artists, and for entrepreneurs and small business owners, I got really excited. So I dove in headfirst, learning all about it. And then I started my podcast, Blockchain for Beginners, because there's so much involved in blockchain and in that world that sometimes you can get really lost, right? Like there's all these different terms thrown at you. You don't really know what blockchain is. And I thought that people needed a resource that could walk them through it. And then, of course, be accessible, right? Like that's how we met. You reached out, and we've kind of gotten to know each other a little bit now. And so, I wanted to kind of be that person for people. And that's really how it started, right? So I kind of have a background in social media management, but I'm moving more into working in the field of social media / blockchain with all the other projects that I'm doing, in that world. So I think it's great too, because, and I'm sure we'll get into this, fitness, I think, is going to be huge as we move into spaces like metaverse and using NFTs in the fitness or in the health space. I think is something that I haven't really seen done a lot, but I know that it's probably a space that's going to take off, because I know like the way it's going.
Yes, that's why I wanted, one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you on is that it's kind of a future technology that is going to, I have an intuition, I have a sense that it's going to really impact how we treat fitness and also therapy, and how we work with people and help them out and reach more people too so obviously it's not out there yet as much, but it's so fascinating to start kind of, like thinking of possibilities and what we could create. So I really appreciate like just following you. I just started, you kind of were one of the inspiring, voices out there that got me to think about it. So thank you so much. And I think you're doing an amazing job. And also, just really bringing all this stuff to people who may have not even like thought about it before. So yeah, cool. So can we talk a little bit about, looking at all those issues of or notions of like metaverse and NFTs, like where do you see, like if we were to kind of dream and think of the future, where do you see it opening some more possibilities for people like therapists and coaches and trainers to reach more people and work in, in that space? And why should we even think about it?
Yeah. So to start, I think NFTs right now, we only see them, or we're seeing them being used for more things. Obviously, it started out as artwork. So people would, if you wanted to do it on your own, you could post your artwork on a marketplace like OpenSea. And OpenSea allows you to put your percentage of royalties in. So every time, if you sold it once, then that money was yours. And then if the person who bought it sold it again, you would still get royalties. So you'll get royalties on every single sale. And I think that's why a lot of creatives were really excited about NFTs, because it allows them to have ownership over their intellectual property instead of going through other places, right? Like if we talk about musicians have historically had to go through record labels who took ownership over their intellectual property, and then of course they took a large chunk of their royalties. This way, musicians, artists, creatives of every kind can use NFTs, and they have ownership over their work, and then they get the royalties. And so that's really how it started. And now we're seeing NFTs being used as utility tokens, because NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and that means that each NFT is unique. So each NFT is like a unique token. And we're seeing utility being added onto these tokens now. So I think that for anybody that's a therapist or in the fitness world or working in a service-based industry can actually use these. And the way that the example that I would present would be, we know Gary Vaynerchuk right now opened the first restaurant using NFTs. It's called Fly Fish Club. And what happens is people buy an NFT, and that gives them access into the restaurant. And then depending on the level of NFT that you bought, you'll have access to more and more amenities within the restaurant. And throughout the year, if the restaurant throws different events, then whoever has that token can get into the restaurant. If you don't have the NFT, then you're not in the club. You have to have the NFT. So I think that therapists or fitness professionals or anybody who's in the health industry could start thinking about it in that way. You can put your NFT on a marketplace or your collection of NFTs, and you really should be thinking about, well, what is my service? Let's start with a personal trainer. If you're a personal trainer and you already have an online business, so you're training people and you're giving them workout sheets, or you're providing them with like Zoom sessions or something, then you can start selling those through NFT, or you could start having like a group, and based on different levels of NFTs, you could offer different services. So you could say, this NFT is for a 1 hour one-on-one session with me, and And then throughout the year, if you have this specific NFT, then you might get other special, gifts from me. Or if you have this NFT, then that means that I will check in with you every 3 months. We'll go over your health plan. We'll see what's happening. And so it's basically just like, I think of it like a ticket almost into an exclusive club. And based on the ticket that you have, you can get different things from it. And so the cool thing about that is if you, as a therapist, make 1,000 NFTs, a collection of 1,000 NFTs, and you sell them to people that want to work with you. And then if that person goes, well, I'm done, I really don't want to continue working with you for whatever reason. I mean, that happens in every business, right? Mm-hmm. Then they can take that token and they can sell it to someone else, right? Mm-hmm. And then when that sale happens, you as the business owner still get a percentage of that sale. So that's why I think in the future, everything, almost everything's going to be happening through NFTs and through utility tokens, because it brings more money back to the original creator or back to the original business owner. And it's a way to authenticate things. So let's say if you did have an exclusive club, you're like, I'm only going to work with 100 people or 20 people even. And we're going to go, I'm going to give you an hour of my time every single week. I'm going to give you exclusive workout plans or I'm going to give you personalized plans. And it's only going to be this batch of 20 people. You can create NFTs for those 20 people and you can authenticate it. So that means that you'll be able to know this person really does have a token. It's different because sometimes in the outside of the digital space, right? If you went to an event, you could kind of fake your way into the event with like a fake ticket or something. With NFTs, you can't do that because each NFT is authenticated through a cryptographic hash code. And a hash code is a series of numbers that are unique to that individual NFT. So there's a lot of different uses that could happen. I think that we're going to continue to see projects popping up. But the one that I've been sending people to just check out, because when you look at it and you look at the way that it's set up on their website, you'll start to get some ideas of how to use NFTs on your own. And so I always send people to that restaurant, right? It's flyfishclub.com. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this in the notes here in the chat box, just in case anybody wants to check it out. Flyfish Club restaurant. Okay.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I love it. So you can actually, how would we? Okay, so you just go to the website, right?
Yeah, you can look at what they're doing. Basically, they have two different kinds of NFTs, and based on the one that you buy, you get different stuff.
Wow, it's so cool. I mean, this is like, it opens your mind to, really taking charge of our own services instead of being reliant on, all the other institutions that are, controlling it, which is amazing. And but I have a stupid question. So say like somebody is a coach or a trainer, personal trainer or a therapist, and they have their own online business. They have videos and programs and all sorts of things that they share with people. And they wanting to go into that space of NFTs and start to creating their own NFTs. Like what kind of NFT could this person create to put it out there?
Yeah. Well, an NFT can really be anything, right? So, right now, if I wanted to take a picture of this screen that I'm looking at on my phone, I would take a picture, and I could literally upload that to a marketplace like OpenSea, and then in the description of the NFT, I could write what somebody gets by purchasing that NFT. So if you wanted to make it more artsy, right? And I'm talking about a service-based business, you could make a piece of artwork in PixArt or, anywhere really, and then upload that. But I think for a
Mhm.
service-based business, it doesn't really matter about the artwork or what the
Mhm.
NFT actually looks like on the marketplace. What you're going to be looking at is how can somebody use this NFT?
Yeah.
What do they actually
Mhm.
get by buying this NFT?
Utility.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, like in the example of Fly Fish Club again, if you go onto the website and you look at, it'll show you two different pictures and two different tokens, and all they are is a picture of a fish. That's it.
Okay, cool. But yeah, but I'm
So,
thinking like you could maybe put like a short video with your whatever you're doing, and
yeah, and based on what you wanted to sell too, right?
Mhm.
Like if you said if you buy this NFT, then you get access to 4 exclusive workout videos, or you get, whatever. Then they buy the NFT and you could send them the exclusive videos that aren't available
Mhm.
anywhere else. And there's a number of ways that you can do that, right? The easiest way might be that you have a bunch of private videos that you could send them through a Dropbox or through a privated YouTube link, or you could say if you had a Discord, you know, a Discord group, you could have a private channel and say if you had this NFT, you'll get access to 4 exclusive videos. You get a 1 hour one-on-one session with me, and you get access to the private Discord channel.
Mhm.
It's just about what utility are people getting when they buy that NFT. Because I
Mhm.
think that even for service-based business, sometimes people get tripped up with the artwork, and I
Mhm.
think that we're moving away from that. Artists, of course, aren't, right? But for
Mhm.
service-based businesses, we're moving away from the actual artwork of it, and people are going to want to know how can they use it. And if you're a business and you wanted to collaborate with different brands, you could also include that, right? Like if you buy this NFT, you also get 10% off of, this water bottle or something when you buy the water bottle. Um, it's almost like anything else that we do, right? If you're a an influencer or whatever, you're building a business and you're collaborating, you could write to different brands right now in email and ask them, if I like affiliate marketing almost, but you're doing it through NFTs. So it's all about building a community around what you're doing, and then making sure that every NFT has the most use or the most value to the people who could potentially buy it. And then of
Mhm.
course you're building something that when they get sold again, you're going to get perpetual royalties from that. So um, that's why I think people should begin to think long term. Like, right, like if you're in a service based business, you should build a brand. And brand is really how people feel about your overall business. So we don't have to be too crazy about it, but it's just you're building a real brand for yourself, which means that you're going to be around for the long term. And I think that's why NFTs really work with that, because they are a long term thing. They stay on the blockchain, they can't be taken off of blockchain, and they offer whoever's using them perpetual royalties.
Mhm. So awesome, cool. And I mean, you mentioned Discord, and you mentioned that the building of the community. I think it's like another really amazing topic to talk about a little bit because yeah, what I love about this whole space is that I mean, there's obviously there are different people with different approaches to all this, to blockchain and
Yeah.
NFTs, but a part of it is that there's groups of people that are really looking into how do we harness this or harness this um, for creating communities and something long term, and so can you talk more about, say, like discords and like advantages of joining or creating a discord, and other ways we build that community to invite people into that NFT offers that we may want to create?
Yeah, so I think Discord is a great place for building community because it's a social media, I would call it a social media platform, and it really has no algorithm. So who's ever in the Discord can see everything that's happening. And it really does feel like a community when you build it, right? If you build it the right way, because it's just a bunch of people talking and interacting and sharing things. But for somebody that would want to start a community around their work, I think that my best advice, I think, would be for people to choose 1 or 2 social media platforms that they know that they can put their time and energy into. Sometimes I think people try to split up their energy into all of the social media platforms, and then they kind of fall flat. What I've seen as an example, over time, I've seen people replicate this model, and it works every time almost when they're really consistent and invested. And I've seen it with people with large followings too. One of the best examples of this is Victoria Paris. So people can look her up after. Victoria Paris really focused on one social media platform, and it was TikTok. And then from that, she moved to YouTube, and she's now growing her YouTube. But she first focused on one social media platform, was invested there, and then split up her time into the others. But that works because if you focus on, let's say, Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or wherever you feel the most comfortable right now, there's so many people on that one app that gives you the chance to grow your following there. And then you will build a community if you're authentic, if you're putting out great content, if you are commenting back to people, if you're being engaged on that social platform. You will start to build people who know who you are and want to follow you, and you will start to grow a community. And then from there, you can ask people if they want to join your Discord and have your own little space, right, aside from the social platform that you're on. So that's where I think people should start. Now, again, if you're in a business, there's different strategies because you're going to have to be selling things at the same time as using your social platform. So unlike influencers, right, influencers can post all the time, and then they get brand deals, and it kind of works that way. If you're in a business and you're running a service-based business like a health business, then you should post on social media thinking about your target audience and what they need, and really think about how they feel, right? If you're a personal trainer and you want to help people get healthy, why do people want to get healthy? Usually there's a lot of different reasons, but it comes down to things like maybe they want to look good, naked when they're with their partner. Maybe they want to live longer for their children. Maybe they're tired of feeling like they have no energy. And so you write down all of the reasons as to why somebody would want to get healthy, and then go look maybe on other platforms or other videos, and go to a YouTube video about whatever you're in, health and fitness or personal trainer or whatever. And in the comments section, you'll see people are asking questions, and you'll be able to answer those questions. And let's say you go to YouTube and you look at the questions and you get a bunch of them and you write them all down. Now you know what people are asking. And then you go over to the platform where you feel most comfortable. Let's say that's Instagram. And you start making content that answers those questions. And you use the right hashtags. And you will get people that start to follow you. So that's where I would start creating content that answers people's questions. And then maybe every 4th or 5th post once a week, you share what you offer. You let people know these are your packages, where they can sign up for it, all of that stuff. And your hashtag strategy, let's say you're talking about on Instagram, I like to use the pyramid hashtag strategy. So at the very top of the pyramid, I use hashtags that are really big, right? So hashtags that have 1 million people following it or 2 million people following it. And then at the bottom, I use hashtags that are really niche, really small, things that are only followed by 20,000 people, 10,000 people, 5,000 people. And by doing that, my content gets spread out to a wider audience, but also it allows me to rank my posts in those smaller hashtags so I get seen more, and then more people like my posts, and then I can grow, right? And the odd occasion when you get a post that gets picked up because more people have been able to see it in those smaller hashtags, you'll start to get pushed up in the larger hashtags, and that's where your following kind of will grow from. So there's a lot of strategy that can go into building a community and one that really wants to follow your work. But I think the biggest part of that would be to just be engaged, to be answering questions. And if you don't have a community right now, right? Like if somebody's watching this and they don't already have a community, that's the place where I would start, would be to find those questions. And for the health personal trainer, therapists, you guys are lucky because you could go on any YouTube video, you could go on any platform like Reddit. If you went on Reddit and you just typed in personal trainer, you're going to see so many questions pop up from people that'll be like, well, how do I do this workout? Or how do I, get more energy levels? Or how do I get better sleep? Or how do I fix my back is hurting all the time? Is there any exercises or stretches that I can do for my back? And you just make videos, answer those questions. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, it's neat. It's nice and easy. I mean, simple because really we don't just create community. We want to actually serve people to give them what they actually need and want, right? So I love that. And also, like, the other thing is if you're in service business, you're working with clients, like, I think it's a good idea to listen to what your people are asking you to, what do they come in with to get your services, even like for myself, I've worked in physical space for a long time, but not much on social media or I don't have much presence. And but then you can harness all that you've learned from just working with people, if you have a service business.
Yeah.
So, right. So I think I really love that approach. Thanks so much for sharing that. So if somebody like wanted to start to explore like creating the NFTs and sharing their services in that way, like what is the place where would you go? What's the best place to start with?
With NFTs?
Just kind of to look back a little bit into what we started with.
Yeah. So I think the best place to start would be to kind of it depends on what you wanted to do, right? If you weren't really interested in the underlying technology, then I would start to look at places like I would start to go look at OpenSea or Rarible, and start looking at, well, what are people offering? Maybe start Googling NFT projects with utility. I know that people are who's somebody? Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu is an entrepreneur who's using NFTs to start a community around helping other people be better in their business, in their life, and stuff like that. So his NFTs have utility, and so I would look at his work. But if you wanted to learn about blockchain, learn about the technology of NFTs, I would start with reading the Bitcoin white paper. This is because Bitcoin really was the first blockchain that supported cryptocurrency that was Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is a fungible token, which means that it only is one thing. So if you had one Bitcoin and you traded it for another Bitcoin, all you're ever going to get is Bitcoin. And all you're ever going to get is whatever Bitcoin. And then what happened was Ethereum came, and Ethereum is a different blockchain, but Ethereum added smart contracts. So that allowed us to be able to put a smart contract, which is just a contract, on blockchain. And that meant that we could kind of like mold it into whatever we wanted, which would allow people to transfer goods and services and everything like that through blockchain technology. And that presents NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens. And that means that every NFT is unique. So in the example of Bitcoin being a fungible token, we have the limit for Bitcoin is 21 million Bitcoins. And all of those Bitcoins are the same thing. NFTs, there's only ever one of, one thing, right? Each NFT is unique. So if you have an NFT and you want to trade it for a different NFT, then you'll receive something completely different than what you originally had. So that's where it kind of gets cool, and that's why people equate them to playing cards, right? Like if you had a bunch of baseball cards and you wanted to collect them, and you had a certain player and you wanted a different one, you'd have to trade for it and you would get a completely different baseball card. So that's where I would start to look, is I would read the Bitcoin white paper, because that will kind of give you an understanding of what blockchain technology is. And what blockchain is it's a digital ledger. So if you've ever used Google Spreadsheets, Google Spreadsheet is a digital ledger. It's a database, right? Because you have a bunch of information on your Google Spreadsheet, but it works in a hierarchical order. Blockchain is a database where data is put into a block, and then that block is uploaded onto the blockchain, and it kind of just gets spread out, right, in like a chain almost, because each block is uploaded into and it's attached to the previous block before it. So when people talk about blockchain, and they don't know what it really is just a different type of database. It holds data, but every time you put data onto the blockchain, it can't be taken off and it can't be changed. So that's what's interesting about it, is that's why smart contracts are interesting, because it kind of levels the playing field for contracts, right? And, a lot of people use the example of insurance. When people right now enter into a contract with an insurance agency, we're paying money every month to the insurance agency in hopes that if we get into an accident, they will pay out and we won't have to. But it's not in the insurance agency's best interest to do that. So sometimes we see that they try to get out of the contract that they signed with us because they actually don't want to pay that money. If that contract was then uploaded onto the blockchain, then that means that it can't be changed. And so I think that it's going to make a lot of the contracts that we use every single day, right, like insurance or marriage or anything, people will enter into these contracts a little differently because they know now that it can't be changed. And for individuals like us, I think that offers something cool, because now we kind of also have a good hand, right? We have a good upper hand. So, I think that that's where people should start if they want to learn about blockchain, is is to read the Bitcoin white paper, maybe look at what smart contracts are. I know that a really great video for that is through Free Code Camp.
Mm-hmm.
So Free Code Camp has a video all about blockchain technology. And I would suggest, if you're not into like the coding part of it, if you don't really want to know how to create a smart contract on your own, then just watch the first hour, because just watching the first hour will tell you everything you want to know about blockchain, about smart contracts, and about NFTs in a way that is easily understood. And then it's a video, right? So you can go back and rewatch different parts and write it down and go from there. But basically, I would suggest doing that because if you're looking at NFTs and you didn't want to do it in a difficult way for your service-based business, you could use a marketplace where they kind of do everything for you. But if you wanted to kind of go a different route and you had some money to spend, then you would hire somebody to write your smart contracts for you. But that also, I think you would really have to do your research, because a lot of people right now are writing smart contracts and hiring people to write smart contracts for them. And then they're getting into some trouble because once that contract goes onto the blockchain, it cannot be changed. And if you have somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing writing your contract for you, that is a problem. So if anybody out there is thinking, oh, well, I can hire somebody to do that for me, just make sure that you're doing your research. Make sure that they have references or a portfolio or something that says that they've done this before, that they understand your industry, and they know how to write it in a way where you're going to be happy when it goes live on the blockchain, because once it goes live, it's immutable. So that's just something to watch out for.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I think it's super important. And yeah, I mean, just what I love about all this is that, first, like, I think what it redefines the way we do service, but also redefines we build communities, and it becomes, it is more serious in a way because it is there. All those contracts are immutable; that you cannot change them, which is like makes you think twice about what are you entering into. Are you committing into actually doing this? So I think that's a wonderful way for us to, build communities that are more responsible to each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really appreciate that you're bringing on one hand on the blockchain NFT space, and also talking about social media and the community building. That really like opened my eyes to what is possible, where we can look into the future as service providers. So I wanted to say I really appreciate that a lot. And yeah, so is there anything you would want to share with us, your thoughts, or like where you see things going in the future? Or things that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, I think that right now we do have like metaverse coming into play. But from that, I think that there was a lot of people that were wondering, well, will we still have social media like we do now? Because in metaverse, it's going to be a lot more interactive, but people will have to wear their headsets, right? So I think in the future, we will have fitness and personal trainers and all that stuff in the metaverse, because it'll be a lot more interactive. But we will still have our social media platforms like we do now. And I don't know if you've seen like the videos of the Apple AR glasses. It's kind of like, the glasses, like your reading glasses or whatever that you wear, but it has like AR. So it's not like we're going to be looking at our phones anymore. We're going to have our glasses on. But they still have all of the social media apps that we have. You're still going to have your Gmail for your emails. You're still going to have Instagram, Facebook, whatever you use. So I think that for professionals, right, it's still all about building your business in a digital space so that people know that you're here in a way that's authentic to you. And then if you want to think about the future or what that's going to look like, you could look into the metaverse for, personal training or for having your sessions, whatever that looks like. But really, I think we're doing that already. We have Zoom, but it's going to be more interactive. So I think that it might be a little ways away though, because we still need like a large majority of people to have those that headset or those glasses, and a lot of people really don't have them right now. But I wanted to say for people that were worried about social media as a whole, we're still going to have our platforms, and so I would say to continue to build your business and to be out there on social media and find new ways of doing things would be my last thing to say. Another thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people try to follow trends, but the people that actually grow the most are people that are offering something new to the platforms. So you don't always have to follow trends if you don't like trends. I know that on TikTok, people are always dancing, and some people don't like to dance. You don't have to do that. You can bring something new to the table, and usually that's why people will take notice of you. And so I know it's such a cliche, but just do what feels comfortable to you. Make sure that you're giving value by answering questions, and think about your target audience. Think about why they would watch you, why they need you, and go from there. But yeah, we might see metaverse stuff happening. But I think that's still, for the large majority of people, that's still a few years away, 5-10 years away, when we might all have headsets. But right now, people don't still have them, and social platforms even then will still be a thing in the metaverse.